Chapter 2 of Uncle Wiggily and Old Mother Hubbard. Uncle Wiggily and Old Mother Hubbard by Howard R. Garris. Chapter 2 Uncle Wiggily and the First Pig. Uncle Wiggily Longears, the nice old gentleman rabbit, came out of the underground burrow house of the Littletail family, where he was visiting a while with the bunny children, Sammy and Susie, because his own hollow stump bungalow had burned down.
"Where are you going, Uncle Wiggily?"
asked Sammy Littletail, the rabbit boy, as he strapped his cabbage leaf books together, ready to go to school.
"Oh, I am just going for a little walk,"
answered Uncle Wiggily.
"Nurse Jane Fuzzy Wuzzy, the muskrat lady housekeeper, asked me to get her some court plaster from the 5 and 6 cent store. And on my way there, I may have an adventure. Who knows?" "We are going to school," said Susie. "Will you walk part of the way with us, Uncle Wiggily?" "To be sure I will,"
crowed the old gentleman rabbit, making believe he was Mr. Cock-a-doodle, the rooster. So Uncle Wiggily, with Sammy and Susie, started off across the snow-covered fields and through the woods. Pretty soon they came to the path the rabbit children must take to go to the hollow stump school, where the lady mouse teacher would hear their carrot and turnip gnawing lessons.
"Goodbye, Uncle Wiggily,"
called Sammy and Susie.
"We hope you have a nice adventure."
"Goodbye. Thank you. I hope I do," he answered. Then the rabbit gentleman walked on, while Sammy and Susie hurried to school, and pretty soon Mr. Longears heard a queer grunting noise behind some bushes near him. Came the sound.
"Hello, who is there?"
asked Uncle Wiggily.
"Why, if you please, I am here, and I am the first little pig,"
came the answer, and out from behind the bush stepped a cute little piggy boy with a bundle of straw under his paw.
"So you are the first little pig, eh?"
asked Uncle Wiggily.
"How many of you are there altogether?"
"3, if you please,"
grunted the first little pig.
"I have 2 brothers, and they are the second and third little pigs.
Don't you remember reading about us in the Mother Goose book?"
"Oh, of course I do," cried Uncle Wiggily, twinkling his nose.
"And so you are the first little pig. But what are you going to do with that bundle of straw?"
"I am going to build me a house, Uncle Wiggily, of course," grunted the piggy boy. "Don't you remember what it says in the book? Once upon a time there were 3 little pigs named Grunter, Squeaker, and Twisty Tail.
Well, I'm Grunter, and I met a man with a load of straw, and I asked him for a bundle to make me a house. He very kindly gave it to me, and now I'm off to build it." "May I come?" asked Uncle Wiggily. "I'll help you put up your house."
"Of course you may come. Glad to have you," answered the first little pig. "Only you know what happens to me, don't you?"
"No, what?" asked the rabbit gentleman. "I guess I have forgotten the story."
"Well, after I build my house of straw, just as it says in the Mother Goose storybook, along comes a big old wolf, and he blows it down,"
said the first little pig.
"Oh, how dreadful!" cried Uncle Wiggily. "But maybe he won't come today."
"Oh, yes he will," said the first little pig. "It's that way in the book, and the wolf has to come."
"Well, if he does," said Uncle Wiggily, "maybe I can save you from him."
"Oh, I hope you can," grunted Grunter. "It is no fun to be chased by a wolf."
So the rabbit gentleman and the piggy boy went on and on until they came to the place where Grunter was to build his house of straw. Uncle Wiggily helped, and soon it was finished.
"Why, it is real nice and cozy in here,"
said Uncle Wiggily when he had made a big pile of snow back of the straw house to keep off the north wind and had gone in with the little piggy boy.
Yes, it is cozy enough,
spoke Grunter.
but wait until the bad wolf comes. Oh dear.
Maybe he won't come, said the rabbit, hopeful-like.
Yes, he will, cried Grunter. Here he comes now.
And surely enough, looking out of the window, the piggy boy and Uncle Wiggily saw a bad wolf running over the snow toward them. The wolf knocked on the door of the straw house and cried, little pig, let me come in."
No, no, by the hair of my chinny chin chin, I will not let you in,
answered Grunter just like in the book.
Then I'll puff and I'll blow your house in,
howled the wolf.
Then he puffed and he blew,
and all of a sudden, over went the straw house. But just as it was falling down, Uncle Wiggily cried, "Quick, Grunter, come with me. I'll dig a hole for us in the pile of snow that I made back of your house, and in there we'll hide where the wolf can't find us." Then the rabbit gentleman, with his strong paws just made for digging, burrowed a hole in the snowbank, and as the straw house toppled down, into this hole he crawled with Grunter.
"Now I've got you!"
cried the wolf as he blew down the first little pig's straw house. But when the wolf looked, he couldn't see Grunter or Uncle Wiggily at all, because they were hiding in the snowbank.
"Well, well!"
howled the wolf. "This isn't like the book at all! Where is that little pig?" But the wolf could not find Grunter, and soon the bad creature went away, fearing to catch cold in his eyes. Then Uncle Wiggily and Grunter came out of the snowbank and were safe, and Uncle Wiggily took Grunter home to the rabbit house to stay until Mother Goose came some time afterward to get the first little pig boy. "Thank you very much, Uncle Wiggily," said Mother Goose, "for being kind to one of my friends." "Pray don't mention it. I had a fine adventure, besides saving a little pig," said the rabbit gentleman. "I wonder what will happen to me tomorrow." And we shall soon see, for if the snowball doesn't wrap itself up in the parlor rug to hide away from the jam tart when it comes home from the moving pictures, I'll tell you next about Uncle Wiggily and the second little pig. End of chapter 2. Uncle Wiggily and Old Mother Hubbard by Howard R. Garris. Chapter 3. Uncle Wiggily and the Second Pig.
There, it's all done,
exclaimed Nurse Jane Fuzzy Wuzzy, the nice muskrat lady housekeeper, who, with Uncle Wiggily Longears, the rabbit gentleman, was standing in the Littletail rabbit house, since the hollow stump bungalow had burned down.
What's all done?
asked Uncle Wiggily, looking over the tops of his spectacles.
These jam tarts I baked for Billy and Nanny Wagtail, the goat children,
said Nurse Jane.
Will you take them with you when you go out for a walk, Uncle Wiggily, and leave them at the goat house?
I most certainly will, said the rabbit gentleman very politely. Is there anything else I can do for you, Nurse Jane? But the muskrat lady wanted nothing more, and, wrapping up the jam tarts in a napkin so they would not catch cold, she gave them to Mr. Longears to take to the two goat children. Uncle Wiggily was walking along, wondering what sort of an adventure he would have that day, or whether he would meet Mother Goose again, when all at once he heard a voice speaking from behind some bushes.
"Yes, I think I will build my house here," the voice said. "The wolf is sure to find me anyhow, and I might as well have it over with. I'll make my house here."
Uncle Wiggily looked over the bushes, and there he saw a funny little animal boy with some pieces of wood on his shoulder.
"Hello!"
cried Uncle Wiggily, making his nose twinkle in a most jilly-jolly way. Who are you, and what are you going to do?" "Why, I am Squeaker, the second little pig, and I'm going to make a house of wood," was the answer. "Don't you remember how it reads in the Mother Goose book? Once upon a time there were 3 little pigs named Grunter, Squeaker, and—" "Oh, yes, I remember," Uncle Wiggily said. "I met your brother Grunter yesterday and helped him build his straw house." "That was kind of you," spoke Squeaker. "I suppose the bad old wolf got him, though. Too bad. Well, it can't be helped, as it is that way in the book." Uncle Wiggily didn't say anything about having saved Grunter, for he wanted to surprise Squeaker. So the rabbit gentleman just twinkled his nose again and asked, "May I have the pleasure of helping you build your house of wood?" "Indeed you may, thank you," said Squeaker. "I suppose the old wolf will be along soon, so we had better hurry to get the house finished." Then the second little pig and Uncle Wiggily built the wooden house. When it was almost finished, Uncle Wiggily went out near the back door and began piling up some cakes of ice to make a sort of box. "What are you doing?" asked Squeaker. "Oh, I'm just making a place where I can put these jam tarts I have for Nanny and Billy Wagtail," the rabbit gentleman answered. "I don't want the wolf to get them when he blows down your house." "Oh, dear," sighed Squeaker. "I rather wish now he didn't have to blow over my nice wooden house and get me. But he has to, I suppose, 'cause it's in the book." Still, Uncle Wiggily didn't say anything, but he just sort of blinked his eyes and twinkled his pink nose until, all of a sudden, Squeaker looked across the snowy fields and he cried, "Here comes the bad old wolf now!" And, surely enough, along came the growling, howling creature. He ran up to the second little pig's wooden house and, rapping on the door with his paw, cried, little pig, let me come in!" "No, no, by the hair of my chinny chin chin, I will not let you in," said the second little pig, bravely. "Then I'll puff, and I'll blow, and I'll puff, and I'll blow, and blow your house in!" howled the wolf. Then he puffed out his cheeks, and he took a long breath, and he blew with all of his might and main, and suddenly, crack-o! Down went the wooden house of the second little piggy, and only that Uncle Wiggily and Squeaker jumped to one side, they would have been squashed as flat as a pancake, or even 2 pancakes. "Quick!" cried the rabbit gentleman in the piggy boy's ear. "This way! Come with me!" "Where are we going?" asked Squeaker as he followed the rabbit gentleman over the cracked and broken boards, which were all that was left of the house. "We are going to the little cabin that I made out of cakes of ice, behind your wooden house," said Uncle Wiggily. "I put the jam tarts in it, but there is also room for us, and we can hide there until the bad wolf goes off." "Well, that isn't the way it is in the book," said the second little pig, "but—" "No matter!" cried Uncle Wiggily. "Hurry!" So he and Squeaker hid in the ice cabin back of the blown-down house, and when the bad wolf came poking along among the broken boards to get the little pig, he couldn't find him, for Uncle Wiggily had closed the door of the ice place, and as it was partly covered with snow, the wolf could not see through. "Oh, dear!" howled the wolf. "That's twice I've been fooled by those pigs. It isn't like the book at all. I wonder where he can have gone." But he could not find Squeaker or Uncle Wiggily either, and finally the wolf's nose became so cold from sniffing the ice that he had to go home to warm it, and so Uncle Wiggily and Squeaker were safe. "Oh, I don't know how to thank you," said the second little piggy boy as the rabbit gentleman took him home to Mother Goose, after having left the jam tarts at the home of the wagtail goats. "Pray do not mention it," spoke Uncle Wiggily, modest-like and shy. "It was just an adventure for me." He had another adventure the following day, Uncle Wiggily did. And if the dusting brush doesn't go swimming in the soap dish and get all lather so it looks like a marshmallow coconut cake, I'll tell you next about Uncle Wiggily and the third little pig. End of Chapter 3. Uncle Wiggily and Old Mother Hubbard by Howard R. Garris. Chapter 4. Uncle Wiggily and the Third Pig. Uncle Wiggily Longears sat in the burrow, or house under the ground, where he and Nurse Jane Fuzzy Wuzzy, the muskrat lady, lived with the Littletail family of rabbits since the hollow stump bungalow had burned.
Oh, dear,
sounded a grunting, woofing sound of voice over near one window.
Oh, dear,
squealed another voice from under the table.
Well, well, what is the matter with you two piggy boys?
Asked Uncle Wiggily as he took down from the sideboard his red, white, and blue barber pole striped rheumatism crutch that Nurse Jane had gnawed for him out of a cornstalk.
What's the matter, Grunter and Squeaker?
Asked the rabbit gentleman.
We are lonesome for our brother,
said the two little piggy boys, number 1 and number 2.
We want to see Twisty Tail.
For the first and second little pigs, after having been saved by Uncle Wiggily and taken home to Mother Goose, had come back to pay a visit to the bunny gentleman.
Well, perhaps I may meet Twisty Tail when I go walking today, spoke Uncle Wiggily. If I do, I'll bring him home with me.
Oh, goody,
cried Grunter and Squeaker, for they were the first and second little pigs, you see. Uncle Wiggily had saved Grunter from the bad wolf when the growling creature blew down Grunter's straw house. And in almost the same way, the bunny uncle had saved Squeaker when his wooden house was blown over by the wolf. But Twisty Tail, the third little pig, Uncle Wiggily had not yet helped.
I'll look for Twisty Tail today,
said the rabbit gentleman as he started off for his adventure walk, which he took every afternoon and morning. On and on went Uncle Wiggily Longears over the snow-covered fields and through the wood, until just as he was turning around the corner near an old red stump, the rabbit gentleman heard a clickety-clackety sort of noise and the sound of whistling.
Ha! Someone is happy,
thought the bunny uncle.
That's a good sign, whistling. I wonder who it is.
He looked around the stump corner and he saw a little animal chap with blue rompers on and a fur cap stuck back of his left ear. And this little animal chap was whistling away as merrily as a butterfly eating butterscotch candy.
Why, that must be the third little pig,
exclaimed Uncle Wiggily.
Hello,
called the rabbit gentleman.
Are you Twisty Tail?
That's my name,
answered the little pig.
And as you see, I am building my house of bricks, just as it tells about in the Mother Goose book.
And surely enough, Twisty Tail was building a little house of red bricks, and it was the tap-tap-tapping of his trowel or mortar shovel that made the clickety-clackety noise.
Do you know me, Uncle Wiggily?
asked the piggy boy.
You see, I am in a book. Once upon a time, there were 3 little pigs, and
I know all about you,
interrupted Uncle Wiggily.
I have met Mother Goose, and also your 2 brothers.
They didn't know how to build the right kind of houses, and so the wolf got them, said Twisty Tail.
I am sorry, but it had to happen that way, just as it is in the book.
Uncle Wiggily smiled, but said nothing.
I met a man with a load of bricks, and I begged some of them to build my house, said Twisty Tail. No wolf can get me, no siree. I'll build my house very strong, not weak like my brothers. No, indeed. I'll help you build your house, offered Uncle Wiggily kindly, and just as he and Twisty Tail finished the brick house and put on the roof, it began to rain and freeze. We are through just in time, said Twisty Tail as he and the rabbit gentleman hurried inside. I don't believe the wolf will come out in such weather.
But just as he said that and looked from the window, the little piggy boy gave a cry and said, "Oh, here comes the bad animal now! But he can't get in my house or blow it over, 'cause the book says he didn't." The wolf came through the freezing rain and, knocking on the third piggy boy's brick house, said, "Little pig, let me come in." "No, no, by the hair of my chinny chin chin, I will not let you in," grunted Twisty Tail. "Then I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in," howled the wolf. "You can't! Ha ha! The book says so!" laughed the little pig. "My house is a strong brick one. You can't get me." "Just you wait!" growled the wolf. So he puffed out his cheeks, and he blew, but he could not blow down the brick house because it was so strong. "Well, I'm in no hurry," the wolf said. "I'll sit down and wait for you to come out." So the wolf sat down on his tail to wait outside the brick house. After a while, Twisty Tail began to get hungry. "Did you bring anything to eat, Uncle Wiggily?" he asked. "No, I didn't," answered the rabbit gentleman. "But if the old wolf would go away, I'd take you where your two brothers are visiting with me in the Littletail family rabbit house, and you could have all you want to eat." But the wolf would not go away, even when Uncle Wiggily asked him to, most politely, making a bow and twinkling his nose. "I'm going to stay here all night," the wolf growled. "I am not going away. I'm going to get that third little pig." "Are you? Well, we'll see about that," cried the rabbit gentleman. Then he took a rib out of his umbrella, and with a piece of his shoelace that he didn't need, for a string, he made a bow like the Indians used to have. "If I only had an arrow now, I could shoot it from my umbrella bow, hit the wolf on the nose, and make him go away," said Uncle Wiggily. Then he looked out of the window and saw where the rain, dripping from the roof, had frozen into long, sharp icicles. "Ha!" cried Uncle Wiggily. "An icicle will make the best kind of an arrow. Now I'll shoot the wolf, not hard enough to hurt him, but just hard enough to make him run away." Reaching out the window, Uncle Wiggily broke off a sharp icicle. He put this ice arrow in his bow, and pulling back the shoestring, twang! He shot the wolf on the nose. "Oh, wow! Oh, custard cake!" howled the wolf. "This isn't like the Mother Goose book at all. Not a single pig did I get. Oh, my nose! Ouch!" Then he ran away, and Uncle Wiggily and Twisty Tail could come safely out of the brick house, which they did, hurrying home to the bunny house where Grunter and Squeaker were, to get something to eat. So everything came out right, you see, and Uncle Wiggily saved the three little pigs one after the other. And if the canary bird doesn't go swimming in the rice pudding and eat out all the raisin seeds so none is left for the parrot, I'll tell you next of Uncle Wiggily and Little Boy Blue. End of Chapter 4.
Solomon! Solomon! Snail! Where are you?